back to Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, where we take a midweek break to cover the technology that makes gaming possible on Linux. And unlike that gaming show we do on Saturdays, it's slightly less cussy. But this week, Barry Allen has received an update, but Star Labs has switched to HTML5 years ago, so we don't need to worry about it. And having solved all other crime, the feds accidentally tracked down that lad who hacked kernel.org.
Well, keeping in theme as to whether or not some things should just die, we discuss the whole OpenOffice situation, and Firefox tries to make its argument that 2 is in fact plural and thus justifies the multiple prefix.
And Google hasn't forgotten about us Linux users, and they have provided us with an update to the almost forgotten Google Earth. And do you want to develop malware? If so, we might just have the thing for you.
I think we do have that thing. So speaking of that, let's just get right into it, because you want to be elite hacker, right?
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
if you want
totally.
To hack all the things and code malware and viruses and all that stuff, then you're in luck, because there's this new OS coming soon. They say it's called Lucio OS. Is a malware development framework designed with anti-malware and network security product testing and enrichment in mind. It is set to take the IT security industry by storm. Oh, watch out, we got
It's a storm
there.
glass of water.
We got a badass over there, so what struck me is this meant to develop malware or develop anti-malware solutions? I mean, this wasn't clear. Apparently, it's a little bit of both, so...
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a thing. There's a nice little list going on here. The betas plan to start November 1st, and I'm looking over here. The one addition that I really enjoyed on the web zone was they need to add little red, yellow, purple, blue, and green birds are being added to the site in support of international wildlife foundations. And it's either that or this project is secretly sponsored by ViewSonic, Pedro.
Chirp, chirp.
True story.
Yeah. Chirp, chirp.
You heard it here first. Pedro is officially sponsored by ViewSonic. So, gentlemen, is it? We're looking at this. Do you immediately want to throw away your Backtrack edition, because no one really updated anything after Backtrack? And
not really, because the first thing I saw was just a post on LinkedIn, and then when I see a project that's just backed with a post on LinkedIn, then I don't really trust it. After that, I found that they had an actual website. Which doesn't show up on Google if you type
well, let's be fair. I think you're very generously throwing out the word "they" on this one.
Yeah, I think it's just the one person so far. And judging by the email I got just before the show started, we'll talk about it more in depth next week, I hope.
Well, let's talk about something that we can trust, and that is Android X86 Custom.
So this is a build for Android X64, basically like vanilla Android with Google Apps installed. Just that's the catch. The catch is you have to pay $9 to get it.
Well, so, I mean, come on, we can download it for just $9. What's wrong? Why do you hate America, Strider? Why do you hate people making a profit?
I don't really hate it. I mean, I just don't usually appreciate a lot the amateur Android community, because I find them sloppy, I find them sketchy, and they reek of years of Windows practices. You can see that. They deliver their downloads on Mega.com or stuff like this. I mean, it's sketchy. I mean, I don't like the way they do things. There are some projects that do things right. Those are OmniROM, Replicant, F-Droid, a few others, but usually, I mean, they don't do that really right. And this brings like the Android things like to the whole new level.
You're spending $9 to buy an x86 64 Android Nougat ISO from someone you've never heard of, and the real kicker is the problems, because there's actually a little section in the article that describes the problems, and for those $9, you don't get Bluetooth because it don't work, son. And 1 gigabyte plus apps, like say your games nowadays, they don't work either.
Well, this is all true now. I know everyone's watching this show is going, but don't they just have the 7.0 for the Raspberry 3? It's like, yes. How much does that cost? Nothing. So maybe you want to run out and get that. But the one question I want to ask, and maybe someone out there can get back to me if neither of these two knows, since when is it legal to distribute GApps? Because I noticed that's definitely one of the things. Every time, there's a version upgrade with my Cyanogen, and I'm doing it nightly, I was like, need to get the new GApps because they can't legally pack that in.
I think you can redistribute it so long as it's separately and you agree to those specific terms of service.
Straight.
Which...
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that it's packaged in one ISO. I don't have a problem with this. I just have to... I mean, if you go to the websites, it's really messy. I mean, it's a basic WordPress website, and you have like a tons of links in bright screen. It's rather unreadable. And I think that if it had a good, clean web design, with a pay what you want model like Ubuntu or Elementary OS, and if it had access to the source code, then I wouldn't have any problem with it. I mean, it's kind of
definitely one thing I was thinking about. Is like, isn't that there's like GPL?
No, if you base your work on a GPL project,
you have to release your changes, right?
Yeah, you have to deliver the change code, and I'm not saying that it doesn't do that, because maybe it delivers the source code when you pay. That would be an option as well.
The GPL does allow for monetization.
It does.
Don't know.
I don't know.
Moving on, laid back, relax, because this is just a chat about something that's still around.
But apparently not for very long. This comes from Ars Technica, and OpenOffice, after years of neglect, could shut down. Wait, it's still up?
That should have been the like breaking. OpenOffice still exists.
So this issue came up because there were several few glaring security holes with the version of OpenOffice that was still being actively distributed. You could go to the website and download it, and it had some pretty big security issues. Now, they did issue a fix for that. The biggest one was in October 2015. That was the latest update, and it's almost been a year now. So Ars Technica decided to actually poke some of the developers and ask them, okay, so how's this going to work? Are you guys shutting down? What's it going to be like? And some people, especially the community, said, yeah, it's probably better off to just shut it down and contribute their efforts to something else. And the Apache Foundation literally said, okay, if you're going to keep developing this, you're going to have to give us monthly reports instead of quarterly like they used to. Monthly reports on how it's being developed, on what issues are the most glaring and what you're fixing.
I think it's important to point out that I think the entire development team is, 6 volunteers currently, so...
Yeah. And I think they got most of them to at least give a quote to the article, and they all sound like Monster Cameron when you say that AMD maybe isn't as good as some people think it is. But yeah, they all have some vested interest in keeping the Apache OpenOffice going, even if it's very clearly dying, because since 2012, they only had 160 million downloads. That's bad.
Straight.
Yeah, I mean, there's something I don't understand. Why don't the remaining developers move to LibreOffice, and they could just spend 2 hours per month shipping builds of LibreOffice branded as OpenOffice? I mean, this is a real question here. Is there anything wrong with doing that? Is it legal?
It's called ego, Matthew. It's
Yeah,
like-
yes.
So why don't you just take Lutris and just merge it with the Desura and let them do it from now on?
No, not the Desura, because the Desura is actually dead now. Let's say Play on Linux. Merge Linux, Lutris with Play on Linux.
Mm-hmm. And you get to take a backseat role.
Yeah,
Yes.
but if if Lutris was dying, I would have no problem with that. Other than the fact that the two code bases are really different, but we're talking about OpenOffice and LibreOffice, which were once like one project. I mean, I see nothing wrong in merging them together, and just because people know the OpenOffice brand, and that's something like. To this day,
I think you got to be
people
very careful when
still
you
think-
say that, because we do live in a bit of a bubble. And when you say everyone knows OpenOffice, it's like, no, they don't, man. I hate to break
Well,
that to you.
Windows users, they know the OpenOffice brand more than the LibreOffice.
Maybe. When I think
They've
OpenOffice,
probably
my brain
heard
says
of it.
OpenOffice, I really mean LibreOffice. But then again, that brings me to another thing, because, hello, I would like to introduce my friend 2016 and, his best buddy, Google Docs or any type of cloud-based document system, because it's for your average person walking around the street. Why do you need anything
average.
more than that? Yes, average, like regular person, Strider. They're about
Yeah,
yay
because
big.
you can't really compare like Google Docs or like.
I just did. What you gonna do about it?
Yes, you can. And it actually has, especially the spreadsheet thing, has more functionality than the LibreOffice Calc does at this point. And this is the real kicker here. It's multi-threaded, while LibreOffice isn't.
How so? Because JavaScript is single-threaded.
No, but you're running it on a browser. The browser can actually access multiple threads.
Yeah, but JavaScript
Yes.
can't.
Oh, we'll get to that.
So
we'll
the
get to
kernel
that
thing.
moment.
We're not having that nightmare fuel. The feds have pinned brazen kernel org intrusion on 27-year-old programmer. Indictment comes 5 years after mysterious breach in the Linux repo. That's a very grandiose way of saying, they put a warrant out for this guy and he got popped at a traffic stop 5 years later. Because that's exactly what happened. I mean, this was not a manhunt like they would like you to make this out to believe. But, this kind of brought me back. It's like, why did I quit compiling my own kernels unless I really, really needed to? This reminded me, and it's like, why? Because kernel.org was down because, Odin, Zeus, Pub3, a couple of bits were actually noped way back when, and it was down for a little bit of a while. I think there was also possibly an email server that might have got just a little bit backdoored. Now, this did happen in Florida, and Strider was just like, Florida, man. And, that's definitely a thing. I thought it was kind of interesting that it was in El Portals, Florida, which is the portal, I guess. I don't know. And I was desperately hoping his name was Sanders, Strider.
Yeah, I mean, they put like a big thing on his age, like he's 27 years old. I mean, I don't care about that. It's Florida man. Florida man hacks kernel. That's what's important.
My question here is, and that's basically the exact same question that the folks at ours were asking in the article, is why? What was he looking for? A way to contaminate the kernel? Because I don't see any other reason.
I don't know, man. I mean, this is a very big... It's like, hey, we got him. It's like, oh, yeah, that happened right. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, 2011. That was a long
I
time
can
ago.
understand because, if like embedded systems, stuff like that, corporate, everybody's pulling the kernels and stuff like that. But, I don't know.
But everything that's being hosted there is already public.
This definitely comes across as, oh, no, some Linux systems could have had a backdoor. And I was like, yeah, but I mean, if you want that, just run Windows all the time. Hi, NSA. Keep pushing
Hi.
Windows 10 because FSM knows what's in that. But to the multi-process Firefox.
Ooh, those are some big numbers they have going up at the top of the article there. Yep. The folks from TechCrunch bring us the news that multi-process Firefox brings 400 to 700% improvement in responsiveness. Okay, that's a pretty bold claim. In the article, they do explain that they are seeing a 400% improvement in responsiveness. How you measure that, anyone's guess, and a 700% improvement in responsiveness for loading large web pages. Now, that I can sort of see. That's nice, but if you look down just a couple of articles, a couple of paragraphs below that, it says, for now, multi-process is limited to a single content process and a single browser process. Oh, okay. So I guess 2 counts as multi, right? Because in all fairness, they do intend to move into multi-process content and sandboxing, because in 2016, and I guess this is the reason why they don't have per tab processes, the birds just went nuts. In 2016, they still couldn't figure out how to not have one content process interfere with the other. You know, like Chrome and every other WebKit / Chromium engine framework browser does nowadays.
So what do you think it is, Matthew? I mean, did Firefox actually kill Pedro's parents? I mean...
No, I mean, a lot of people did think, like in the previous stories we covered the last weeks, that it was going to ship with 1 process per tab, and they're not going to do that. Maybe they're going to do 1 process per domain, which would be like okay, I guess. Yeah, but it's not the same sandboxing thing as you can find in WebKit. And I guess that the architecture of Firefox is too much different to allow that very easily. So, I mean, it will maybe come, but not just right now. Yeah,
Strider, seriously, well, why doesn't Firefox just switch over to WebKit?
Because it's Firefox. I mean, it's a totally different piece of software. So I don't know.
All these years developing Gecko.
When are you going to get this? When is it going to be available? You cannot currently go down to the local Firefox store and pick this up. It's going to be rolling out to about 10% of the Firefox population, but that is only if you have no extensions enabled. So this would basically bring you up on par to the speed of a regular website if you didn't have things like no script or ad block enabled. That would just strip all that crap out anyway. So I think it's a little bit of a win-win. Always good to see them doing great work. Do you have anything else to say on the topic?
Yeah, I mean, I find it's weird, this way of rolling out like new features, like only 1% or 10% gets this new feature. I didn't see any flag you could turn on like in About Config, but then again, it was an article from TechCrunch, which is targeted at business people, not tech people, as the name does not imply. So, I mean, if there's something we can do to activate this feature with like an About Config or stuff like this, that would be pretty good. I would like to test it.
Okay.
That would definitely be awesome. But, you know, we keep on testing you guys. Yes, you, the ones listening and watching us at this point.
Are you talking about our bosses?
Yes. Oh. The people who we keep on testing and poking and prodding with sticks to see if they'll keep giving us money, and apparently they do.
Yeah, we made the horrible ideas. Like, I bet you get hit us in the head with a nickel, and people just started throwing stacks on the ground. It was like, give me the change. You know, now they have like fully automated railgun systems that are just firing nickels at us constantly. And it's awesome because it helps us be independent, live, loud, and all that fun stuff, because we have 90 Patreons kicking in 162 wet stinky caches per Saturday night train wreck. Check that business out. We got some rewards if you want to get in on that. What else? Did we have the little numbers there? Oh, I don't have the little numbers, but I think it's like
you don't have the numbers. I do.
Little Patreon exclusives that you can pick up by joining that.
86 of them.
86. That's pretty cool. But we want to thank Benjamin P. He did kick in. This is part of 2 shows, so you kind of get 2 hours per week, which is kind of neat for Linux Gamecast Weekly. But yeah, Benjamin P. He did plug his wares level. Because on that, you know, if you got anything to promote, let us know. We might throw it in, especially if it's Microsoft related. We'd love that.
Oh yeah.
Then Joseph C. kicked in via PayPal. Stay metal, my friend. Absolutely. And I always butcher his name. Pedro, help me.
Nehemiah.
D.
Nehemiah D.
He absolutely got to the show note level access, so those will be going out later.
The show notes lately have been awesome. It's just a bunch of people leaving comments out on the side. It's amazing.
Yeah, because we got that new thing where you can comment and everyone gets in, and that was a brilliantly stupid idea, courtesy of me, and now it's too late to go back, so everyone have fun with it. Now, that's enough shameless self-promotion, and on to Earth, googly style. Yeah, I know. Here's another breaking story. Google Earth still available for Linux, and it runs. I mean, there's no joke. Something I asked Pedro directly in the docs was like, is this thing still wrapped in wine, man?
Yep, it's native Qt now.
Okay, so it's native Qt probably in one. No, I'm just making that up. It's out. Desktop, perfect naming scheme, 717-2600 is the latest version. No new features. It's apparently just bug fixes. I tried it over here on the Ubuntu 14.04 LTS system. The only thing that's not completely stock is I'm running a 4X kernel on this business, but it just kind of errored out. You know, I was like, I don't care enough about this thing. I just did the Ubuntu Software Center, and it was like, yeah, error. I didn't even hit the drop down to check. And I was like, yeah, don't care that much. Don't care that much. However, I will say, Google Earth was the first thing, because I picked up, I don't even remember the story for it, an ELO touchscreen that had Linux drivers in what was it, like 2005, 2006. Immediately installed that just so I could spin the globe. And I was like, okay, we're done.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge update compared to what we had previously, but it's nice to see that Google hasn't forgotten about us. So, I mean, I appreciate the gesture, even if it's not a huge update.
Do you think it was like an intentional update, or like just somebody lost a bet at Google and they ended up having...
I don't know. I mean, I think that's the Windows clients got an update as well, and the Mac one as well. So they said, okay, we might as well push the Linux version to. I mean, not. I mean, it's good. I mean, I like this. The thing is that last time Google Earth was updated, Maps wasn't the thing it is today. I mean, Maps has become this awesome thing. It has WebGL, it has these 3D buildings. It's almost up to the level of Google Earth. So you don't have much of a reason to use Google Earth today. It's still a fun...
Yes, you do. You install it and you go to the globe, you spin it one time, then you zoom into exactly where you live to watch that and you uninstall it. That's...
Yeah, and you get the 3D pop-out buildings right from the get-go. So the moment you start zooming in, you start seeing stuff come out in 3D. It's neat, and then you uninstall it. That's what I did. Okay,
so let's rock out to some YouTube music. We've been dying for this, man. This is the killer.
Oh, this is the Electron app of the week. Strider,
exactly. Yes.
Get your rocks up.
This is Kaku. So this is basically a desktop player for YouTube, and it's also
no, that's supposed to be a fish. That doesn't look like a fish. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's some
maybe a lady, fish. A lady with like a ponytail up.
Okay, here, all right, that's still
maybe a ladyfish.
It needs translators. What is it? I've never heard of this. Does it play music for me? Does it sing me songs at night to help me have nightmares?
It will play music for you from YouTube, from Vimeo, from SoundCloud. No, mostly, I think it's mostly done for YouTube. And I found it, I tried it, and it's kind of neat. It lets you search from YouTube for stuff. I mean, it will let you import your playlist. And I've looked at the website, which is quite a nice website. It looks like most of the dev team is 15 years old, which is cool. I mean, it's cool that some kids have a nice project going on. I would have appreciated to have like Last.fm integration, but I know it's kind of hard to do with like YouTube tracks, which doesn't have like tags like artists, albums, track name and everything. So you can't really do Last.fm integration, but still, I mean, I like the way it's done. I might use it because I like using YouTube as a music player once in a while, and usually it's always nice to have like an alternative, not having to fire up a browser to do that.
It's definitely a thing. I mean, I tried to draw out, how I listen to the music in the morning when I wake up in the show notes, which is basically me screaming at my Sonos speakers for a good 3 or 4 minutes, and we get something going. But sell this to me, Pedro. Why would I use this when I have OK Google, play, fill in the blank? Oh, speaking of YouTube. The heck, guys. I went to like Google, not Google, but YouTube Music, and like looked at the selection, and I got tired of scrolling. I didn't see like metal or rock. I saw like pop alt, something like that. Then like categories is like, what Tumblrina made that one up? But sell me on it.
I can't. Okay. Mostly because you shouldn't. If you're going to use a dedicated app or bit of software, whatever you want to call it, for playing music, just use Audacious or Rhythmbox. Rhythmbox actually supports stuff from several streaming services as it is currently. They already do that. Yes, they do. Or just add your own streaming service, because it can actually do that. If you just have like an MMS server or an RTMP server, it can play those. Kind of awesome. But you know what else supports everything? And I mean everything? VLC.
VLC? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
VLC does all of that. And if you go to the extras, because it has a little extras a la Thunderbird and Firefox has a little extras thing. If you go there, you can find every single one of these services and more.
But can you search for YouTube stuff into VLC? That's the main feature of this program.
With the VLC YouTube player extension thingy, you got a search box. Yeah.
I think what Strider's trying to say is their website is prettier than VLC's. If you are using VLC, you might want some visualization plugins, so you're going to need some OpenGL goodness.
There's one thing.
Go on, Strider.
Yep.
Yeah, there's one last thing about Kaku I really like is the online DJ feature. I want to try that absolutely. So
okay, can we get back to wanting to like throw chairs at the face of this guy on this?
Okay,
or just put him on a bike. Just put him on a bike and send him down a hill.
It'll fix itself.
It's the Intel Graphics for Linux updater thingy. They changed name like 5 times already. But the new version 2.0.2 is now available for download since August the 30th. And you can get it for Ubuntu, for Fedora, or the source code if you feel like compiling it. And it literally just takes the Intel bits from Mesa and updates them. That's it.
Okay, explain to me again why I need a tool.
Because the usual Mesa versions that come with, say, Fedora, which are pretty outdated, or the ones that come with Ubuntu, which are pretty much obsolete at this point, are very, very, very out of date. So you get the newest version of, not the Git development version, but the newest stable version from Mesa directly for the Intel bits that matter.
So it's between the old one and the Xorg Edgers one? Is that right?
I think
it's the stable version. They actually have like they have the development version, which is just the Git updates, and the stable version, which I can't remember what the number is right now. I haven't used Mesa to any significant degree in a while, but this is all kind of pointless. Because if you're on Ubuntu and you are actually relying on the Mesa drivers, chances are you probably have like the OIBAF PPA on Ubuntu or the Graver Copper in Fedora, because those actually give you the Git development branches of Mesa, and you can just use those directly on your system, which is far more up to date than the Intel driver updated thingy.
Yeah, but the only difference between those is they're like $9 a pop, right?
Yeah, no, you don't have to pay for those. I mean, that free updates is cool, but the thing is about the Intel update tool. It's just always really late. I mean, I've had 1604 for like several months now. I might update to 1610 in a matter of weeks, and I'll have.
What are you waiting on for it to get stable? And you're like, oh nope, can't have this.
No, I'll update. I'll install the beta or something, but it's always like very late in the game. So I don't want to wait that much. So I just use a PPA or something else. I mean, it's nice that this exists, but I mean, yeah,
it's
I'll use
a
something
nice
else.
GUI tool if you're one of those people that for some reason is using Linux but is averse to the terminal. You can use it because it gives you a nice GUI tool. I guess.
Does it have next buttons?
Yes.
Oh man, I'm getting an Intel CPU. But what we need to talk about are the 3 things that will apparently survive the apocalypse: Mick Jagger, cockroaches, and Flash, because it just won't die. Adobe Air and Adobe Flash Player. It's from their blog, which is like, never thought I'd be back here again, much less doing a news story about it, but here we are. Yeah, they've updated it. The NP API version has been updated to 11.2. It's a security thing. You know, you're not going to get your GPU 3D acceleration or your premium video DRM. Oh, man, that just ruined nothing at all, because I don't care. I haven't been using Flash for, 2+ years. Yeah, so, Strider, why do you love Flash, man?
I don't like Flash. I mean, I want Flash to die just like everyone else, but Flash won't die by treating Linux users like garbage. I mean, we do have nice updates here.
It might not die, but it'll help.
Yes.
No, it won't.
You're looking at it backwards. See, if you keep treating the Linux users like garbage and they think it's garbage and it is garbage, guess what? We have friends who use Windows. And they're like, don't use Flash. It's garbage. It's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, we're still just 1% of the whole user base, so we won't make any difference. Flash will die when content publishers will stop using Flash and switch to HTML5, like YouTube did, like Netflix did. Netflix did as well, like Twitch did. And like everyone must switch to HTML5. That's the solution.
Pedro, I kind of thought that already happened.
Yeah,
not quite
kind of
yet.
did. Except that there was that snafu with Twitch and the embedded player that was still using Flash. They fixed that now.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. They're like, are you trying to run that over HTTPS? Yeah, but no. Can't do that. We don't want people, not being able to look at the live video stream that we're broadcasting to everyone. Now, one thing, it's kind of terrified. I probably don't want the answer to. That was like, what web zones actually use Flash in 2016? And Matthew was like, well, adult websites. And I was like, I've actually read in a book somewhere that they were like the first ones to like nope that business, and I'm terrified of like any response that you would give me of what weird, bizarre Linux-based fetish that you have for your adult website. So don't tell me. Let's just keep that a mystery. Some things are better kept that way. However, and something I never thought I'd be saying is, we all owe a little bit of like, good job Apple for like killing Barry Allen on iOS, right?
Yep, they were actually back in 2008. We were actually discussing this before the show. I got my iPhone 3G and it had no Flash. If you wanted to watch YouTube videos, you had a dedicated app for that. If you chanced upon a website that was still using Flash, you couldn't see it. Period. And they never changed. I mean, newer and newer versions of iOS came out, new devices came out. I eventually sold my iPhone, but they noped Flash. And I, for one, kind of agree with them. Go full metal scorched earth on Adobe at this point. Just let it die.
That would be a solution, but it would have to be everyone, like Windows, Mac, and Linux.
Do you know what scorched earth policy means, Strider?
Yes. So not just Linux. Just Linux doesn't make a difference. It has to be everyone.
Oh yeah, because of all those servers.
He's got Pedro. He has a point, because there's Firefox and Chrome, the browsers that support Flash. That's about the only way you're going to get it. They don't. The Linux.
Oh, they're not going to kill it or anything. It's not like they have plans in motion to kill it. No.
That's true. So, Strider, you're completely correct. What?
No. Okay.
What?
Flash, I could see the point of. I can
Ladies
sort
and
of see the
gentlemen, now
point.
it's Pedro's turn to continue on with the previous story. As you
No,
were.
no. This, on the other hand,
Okay.
I honestly do not get. Because it's a Ubuntu 16.04.1
You just hate
based
plants,
OS.
man. That's all there is to it.
And it's called What OS? And I guess the giveaway is right there in the name because, oh, hey, it's energy efficient and it's lightweight and it's very, whatever they want to call it. It's literally Ubuntu 16.04 running LXD, only instead of having OpenBox as the window manager, has i3.
Yeah, I looked at that and I said, what? So you mean like power consumption? And I was like, well, this is an absolute rubbish review because you're not showing me the power consumption with this versus running Arch. And then I was like, you really can't be, I'm sorry, we're going to get some hate mail. It's like, you can't use Linux and power consumption and efficiency in the same sentence. And just not just yet. And,
it's better now. It's actually better now.
a little bit better.
It's much better, yeah.
LGC cares, man. Hashtag we love you. But then I was like, oh, when you mean power efficiency, you mean it runs on old hardware that's horribly power inefficient. That's
Yes.
what you mean. Bonus soda. Strider, you love this, though, man. You've already installed it. You're running it right now, practically.
I mean, what's the difference between this and Lubuntu? Lubuntu is a thing, right? So, I mean, maybe it's the i3 versus OpenBox thing. Is Lubuntu that power inefficient? Not now. If I had too much time on the hand, I would install both and benchmark them like on idle, like see how long the Lubuntu will last and how long this Watt.
Well, true. That would be a thing if that, but it was clearly talking about, like right here, note, in my test, I found the web browser a little bit slow to launch at first after installation of the operating system. No mention of what type of laptop or anything like that. So, I mean, this isn't exactly the benchmarking juggernaut of a website, now is it?
No, and I'll say the same thing as each time I say that. Just provide a shell script with a TarGZ for your custom stuff, and don't make me install an OS. That's just what I want.
Strider, you've got really nice white walls. Just paint that on the side and then point at it whenever we talk about a new one.
And then we're going to save up some Patreon money, and I'll hire a stunt actor since you're in LA, and you'll like jump through the walls. You'll be like, oh yeah, oh yeah. And it's going to be brilliant. All right, take us out with a slice of cake.
Ah, yeah, piece of cake. There's this new piece of software called Pi Bakery. It will let you create your custom Raspberry Pi images with a really, really nice UI.
It does look pretty good, and you just like stack them on top of each other, right?
Yeah, if you know about Scratch, Scratch is also something that was really common with the Raspberry Pi. It will let you write programs with this stacking little widgets on top of the other. It's just like that. I think it's using the same widget framework. It will let you like customize an ISO.
You can just stack it and put it right out to the SD card. I mean, we was talking about, I mean, if you're listening to the audios, like you can have just, okay, on first boot, and that's one line. Your second one's set up Wi-Fi. The third one's locate Sarah Connor. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, man.
It is, and I like how it looks. I mean, the only downside is it's not available on Linux right now. I mean, there are Windows and Mac builds, and the Linux build is coming soon. So I don't know when soon is, but yeah, it's kind of neat. It's
So let's say a use case for this. Let's say I'm rolling out, I want a Plex box, and I just need this, and I need you to do that in that order. Boom, be ready to go. Spool it up, stick in the SD card. This is going to let me do that, right?
Yep. It's exactly the use case. You can customize like Wi-Fi packages, VNC, and some other stuff. So yeah, really cool.
I have a question.
Yeah, we know we're ignoring you right now.
Yeah, I figured as much. But it says here that it's for Raspbian. So let's say I want to use that distribution that Jordan named, which happens to mean something very, very wrong over in
In Russia?
Russia
Zambia,
yes. Say if I wanted to use that or any of the other multitude of distros available for the Raspberry Pi, could I do it?
I'm not sure how you could do it.
Because it
it's
just
meant
says
for-
Raspbian.
Yeah, it's meant for Raspbian. Maybe it could be tweaked to work with some other systems, but I guess the current version only work with Raspbian. I mean, which isn't bad
Hey,
because
man,
Raspbian
it's
is
definitely Linux, and this is how we roll with these things. It's like, oh, that's a good idea. Fork
it
it.
is.
Brilliant. That's going to do it for the show, but we've spent an almost, coming up on an hour screaming in your directions. How about a chance to scream back in ours?
Yes, you can easily do that by going over to the Linux Gamecast, linuxgamecast.com, hitting the contact button, and you'll see the very, very nice forum that Ven has crafted for you there. You just have to prove you're smarter than a bot, and make sure you pick which show you're providing hate mail or feedback to. It's pretty easy. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Short and sweet this week. We're going to scream out here. Carl. Your meat dragon was horrifying, Carl. Because we were rapping last week about the Pixel. And, Chrome's like, yeah, you know what? It's dead. And everyone's like, hey, you still made it. That was definitely a thing. He writes back, he's like, it's not dead until it's no longer recording updates. Okay. Technically true. Also, technically with me, any device, including my Nexus 10 that I've ever purchased from Google, I never expected to get anything from other than the hardware. Strider?
I mean, yeah, this is their technique to push you to buy new devices. Okay, we're stopping the updates. You buy something else. Except that in the case of the Pixel,
Did they
there's
say
not
how long
really-
they were going to do updates?
They didn't. I have no idea. But usually it's a couple of years.
Well, I mean, honestly, Pedro, I mean, if you bought the Pixel by this point, you've probably forgotten that you own it, right? Because you've never really used it.
I mean, the moment the news came out that Chrome OS was going to get native Android app support, I would have probably dug that beast out of the closet somewhere. It's just like, I want it. Gimme.
Now I can see exactly how it works. You're like, yay, the big happy face, and you go to your closet and you open it up and you open it. It's like, oh, we're ending support. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, that's kind of how a lot of people feel if they actually spent $1,100 on the original Pixel and then another $1,200 on the Pixel 2. But hey, I guess the Pixel line is not dead. Now they're making Pixel phones, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, Strider, you're going to be putting, supporting your 2012 Nexus 7 with some marshmallows, right?
Yeah, I'll try updating that, but it's like I said earlier in the show, all the Android community stuff is really messy, and I tried to download the files and everything.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you calling CyanogenMod messy? How dare you?
No, not CyanogenMod.
Didn't they get involved with Microsoft at one point?
That was a different.
CyanogenMod, OmniROM, Replicants, all of these are okay. They do things the right way. They have their own websites. They have downloads from clean sources.
So what's your issue? Do you intentionally go out and find Joe's ROM and you're like, yeah, this looks really like a PITA. I'm going to install this tonight. Then
well, when it's the only thing you find, then you don't have much of a choice.
Are you telling me CyanogenMod nightlies don't exist for the Nexus 7?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Let me help you out with that. They do.
Yeah, they do, but do they ship with Android 6? That's what I want.
I'm guessing because I have 6X on my Manta, which is my Nexus 10, Brad.
Yes, I have a Nexus 7 2012, so that's not the same thing.
I installed, Asus Transformer TF300T, which was released in 2012, 13. There is a CyanogenMod nightly with Android 6 for it.
Yeah. And I know for the 10, they're like, all right, we got to get started on the 7.0. And I was like, woo, okay. I was pretty sure that my Nexus 10 could kind of run blazingly fast. Here's a secret. Don't update your nightlies, but twice a year. And it's like getting a new device every time you do. But, yeah, 7.0, something like that. Check it out. Get back with us. But, yeah, gaming. We talked about... Yeah, Raspberry Pi back again and shoving that little critter inside, what was it, a PlayStation Portable?
Yep, we talked about that. The Raspberry Pi Zero, the $5 one that you can't buy because it's always out of stock. Random Asky got in touch with us.
Yeah, because I believe we said something about maybe that's considered retro gaming, and
yes,
and it was considered retro gaming by the same people that thought fill in the blank.
Yeah, so as a filthy millennial, I confirm Nirvana is not classic rock, and PSP games are not retro. Flying Spaghetti Monster's sake, the PSP is only 10 years old. The PS2 is more retro by that logic. If we take into account that the PSP is basically a PSX that you carry around in your pocket, because it will literally fit in your pocket, that's pretty damn retro.
I don't know about you, man, but I don't play on my Smash Z, man.
Yeah, I saw your little thing in the notes there, Strider, and the PSP had a screen resolution of 480 by 272.
Yeah, but
the PS2 could actually push 1080i.
Pedro, you don't understand. It worked all right for Strider.
If Strider
if you compare like upscaled PSX games versus upscaled PSP games, the PSP games look much better. Almost like
because
PS2.
They were made a bit later, yeah. But the hardware was basically the exact same one. That's one of the reasons that the PSP could actually run PSX games natively.
And one of the frightening things is, I mean, even Matthew was like, he doesn't consider, consoles stop being retro. He wrote it. You read it. Maybe
I don't consider anything released after the Nintendo 64 to be retro. So
that's really hard for me to consider the N64 retro. It's hard for me to consider the Sega Genesis retro now. And I'm just at the age
16-bit graphics. That's
just at the age of completing sentences after letting you finish them. So once I've gotten to that age, I'm going to just keep rolling with this sentence, Pedro. Let's see how I do. I can kind of see like the Master System and the NES, definitely the Ataris and Coleco and stuff like that being retro. But like as soon as you start hitting that 16-bit era, I was like, oh man, that was new sauce when I was like 10. I don't know if they're making retro.
Anything we call hipster pixel at this point, including 16-bit graphics, is retro. So yes, the Genesis is retro.
I consider the Genesis and all the Amiga, Atari ST, Super Nintendo stuff retro. Even the PSX, because like PSX, the Nintendo 64, because it had this early 3D graphics.
Mm-hmm.
But once the PS2 and Dreamcast came out, the 3D graphics, well, they're pretty much the same as what we have today, except we have more polygons today and prettier shaders, but it's pretty much the same thing.
Okay, now that you're done throwing shade, let's do that. If you ever want to get back in touch with us, just rewind, listen to what Pedro said earlier, and we will make that a thing. Leave a post on the YouTubes. Hit that thumbs up button if you like that. I know it's so sketchy to say. It's been a while since I've said
This is when we get all the downvotes.
Yeah. Hey, we'll be back next week. Pedro and I will be back Saturday. I've been Vin Stone.
I've been Pedro Mateos, and I have a PSX era sheep here with me.
Sheep, okay.
And I'm Mathieu Commandon, and I don't have a sheep with me.
That's not inflatable. Bye-bye.